Hennepin County Attorney's Office announced new policies this week meant to ensure trials are fair. County Attorney Mary Moriarty says she's developing a new process for evidence disclosure. Federal and state law require prosecutors to disclose evidence showing a defendant might be innocent. They also have to disclose evidence that may damage the credibility of police officers as witnesses. The Attorney's Office is ramping up efforts to ensure these requirements are met. Moriarty worked with Brooklyn Park Police to develop the new policies.
Fair trials are the bedrock of our criminal legal system. If a defendant does not receive a fair trial, a conviction can be overturned.
The data that we have, and officers make mistakes, they're held accountable, and in that accountability, it sometimes may show up in trials, and should be, and that brings some credibility to the system.
Chief Bruley said he's confident that any Brooklyn Park officer could be a credible witness in court. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency recently released an update to its contaminated waters list. Crystal Lake in Robbinsdale is now on that list due to high levels of PFAS. I explain what that means for Robbinsdale and Crystal Lake neighbors. It's a year-round effort in the land of 10,000 lakes.
We're out there looking for a lot of the pollutants that are out there.
Leah Charles is a part of the MPCA team that coordinates the Minnesota Impaired Waters List, which Crystal Lake and Robbinsdale was recently added to.
This is the first time it's being listed for PFAS in fish tissue.
Scientists found PFAS, or perfluorooctane sulfonic acid, in Crystal Lake fish tissue.
It is above our water quality criteria for what we would consider safe for human consumption.
PFAS are chemicals once used in some consumer products, like stain-resistant clothes and food packaging. Human exposure to PFAS can lead to a number of health issues.
You might have to limit your fish consumption from that, but check with Department of Health on that.
Summer Streets is a research scientist with the MPCA. She's also a PFAS expert. She suspects the contamination came from firefighting foam, and it's not likely to last in the lake.
PFOS, anyway, happens to have a very short half-life in fish. That's the amount of time it takes for the fish to get rid of half of their load of PFAS.
Streets says the contamination will likely cycle out of the fish in Crystal Lake in 2 years. In the meantime, most Crystal Lake activities are still all clear.
It's important to remember those uses, because just because it's impaired for aquatic consumption doesn't mean it's impaired for aquatic recreation.
The Department of Health offers guidelines on consuming fish from bodies of contaminated water. We'll have a link to that resource on ccxmedia.org. A longtime Brooklyn Park lawmaker announced his plans to retire and not seek re-election. State Representative Michael Nelson says he's not going to run for re-election in District 38A, which includes Brooklyn Park and part of Osseo. Nelson has served in the House since 2002. He currently serves as the chair of the Labor Committee. In a statement, Nelson said he's grateful for the progress the House made for Minnesota in the last legislative session. He will step down from his elected position after the current biennium wraps up in May. Robbinsdale City staff members are mourning the loss of longtime employee Sherry Ross.
She really contributed to the fabric and the morale of the city. A very kind person, and she's sorely missed.
Ross, shown here with her two sons, Diamond and Cole, worked at the city for 23 years. She passed away unexpectedly in December. She provided administrative support for Robbinsdale's Economic Development Authority and Planning Commission. The Robbinsdale City Council posthumously thanked her for her service. Colleagues say Ross brought a calm and steady demeanor to City Hall.
She had a warm smile and interesting perspective on things, and this is like losing a family member.
Ross's funeral was held in late December. Plans for a new park in the Northwest Plymouth continue to move forward, plans that include a city first. This 20-acre site will become Meadows Park. It'll feature a variety of amenities, one of them being a cricket pitch. It'll be built between two soccer fields. Cricket has a following in Plymouth's increasingly diverse population. Plymouth Planning Commission members say they fielded comments from residents about the desire to make the cricket pitch bigger than what's currently proposed. Park and Rec officials say they went through 15 different planning scenarios, but found it's difficult to make that happen.
We had our consultant redraw it so that we did make the cricket pitch more of an oval shape that would go to the east. We cannot accommodate any other uses on the site if we do that. And one of the things that we strive to do as a community in developing our community parks is making sure that we have recreational access for multiple different users instead of focusing on a single user.
Plans for the park also include building tennis and pickleball courts, hockey and basketball courts, as well as trails. The City Council is expected to vote on the project at its January 23rd meeting. Time is running out to check out a unique art exhibit at the Hopkins Center for the Arts.
Sanjukta and James both reference and gain influence and inspiration from Greek and Roman sculpture. There's elements of the fantastical, and they both approach their art making from a very intuitive standpoint.
An exhibit called Spirit of Myth showcases the work of two artists. One mixes realism with expressionism. Another is from an artist who passed away in 2022 who had a passion for marble and bronze sculpture. Meanwhile, both floors of the lobby galleries are devoted to Reveal. That's the annual exhibition of work done by students and instructors of Hopkins Community Education's adult art classes. This exhibit features 90 pieces of art on display.
This is the most we've ever had. There's ceramics, there's oil painting, there's watercolor, there's drawings. There's just a wonderful variety of different works, and the subject matter is all over the place.
These exhibits run through Saturday. Admission is free.
Find more local news stories at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.